All right, so let's get down to business. Here is the plot summary for Checkin' It Twice, brand new movie out on Hallmark. Countdown to Christmas is on. Here we go. A journeyman hockey player falls for a real estate agent in a career crisis when he's traded to her hometown and moves into the cottage in her hockey-loving family's backyard. Let's go. So we open on a very scenic mountain spot in what is called Idaho Falls, Idaho. So there you go. A very important business lady, Ashley, our female lead, is at the airport gabbing with her colleague over the phone. We get early on that the colleague is actually maybe a love interest. His name is Trevor, who poaches a big client from Ashley in their hotshot world of commercial real estate. She's mad. They're over. It turns out that our male lead, Scott, is also at the airport at the very same time. He's also on the phone too, and his relationship is also going south. She says that it's over, and he says, oh, she's cutting me, which I'm fairly sure no hockey player, maybe no athlete has ever said in reference to a failed relationship going south.
Maybe that was part of the problem. Maybe all he did was speak in hockey terms. She was like, I need more. I need a little more depth from you.
I need more than this. Yes, exactly. Anyway, as one does after they get dumped at the airport, both of them apparently decide to do a little bit of shopping in the airport shop, which I've got to wonder, Jennifer, you get off a plane, you're at your destination. Are you ever going to do any airport shopping before you leave the airport? No one does that, right?
No, that is strictly for early birds like myself. I love getting to the airport early, can't get there early enough, and or layovers. Nobody lollygags in the airport terminal afterwards. I mean, what in the world? I did appreciate that this gift shop area was designed to look like the interior of an airplane. Like people were sitting behind in like little bistro tables and whatnot. It was very cute.
I agree. It looked totally cute. Anyway, the two of them wind up together at the register. It's a little bit icy between the two of them at start. He makes it clear he is eyeing the NHL. He has a goal. She's pretty unimpressed by it. She makes it to her cute little house, and her family gives her a hard time for being so pale, and they decide to pour some salt in that wound by mentioning Trevor. She lies and says he is still coming home for Christmas. I gotta wonder, Jennifer, why?
I guess she was embarrassed to tell him because usually her relationships up to this point have not lasted very long. She's like the girl who never brings a guy home. But the pale shade was rude to me. Also, you're in Idaho Falls. Are they really very sun-kissed in Idaho Falls? It's not like she went to Florida or the Maldives or something. I mean, I don't understand what the pale shade was about. And also, my skin is basically translucent. So maybe I'm personally offended and attacked by it, but
It was
neither here nor there.
Unkind. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. But I guess it's because she's such a busy business lady. She's always in a desk, right? She's always inside.
Super important. Yes, apparently so. We cut to Scott. He is suiting up in the locker room. We learned his dad was a hotshot in the NHL, so it's very clear he's trying to follow in his dad's footsteps, kind of in the shadow of it all. It's kind of a sticky situation for Scott. One of his teammates, Pierre, of course his name is Pierre, gives him a hard time for being the old one, and they almost break out into a fight right then and there.
Very un-Hallmark of us. Yeah. And seemed forced. It seemed like very like, no, I'm going to fight you. It was pretty tame, I guess. Yeah.
Ashley jets off to her dad's shop in town. It is a Christmas wonderland. I want to shop there. He says it's important to stop and smell the pine cones and invites her to a hockey game with the family later that night. Now, it turns out the team has a very busy holiday schedule for the players, full of fun little community events for the holidays, and Scott is super grumpy about it. The coach is like, sorry, bud, it's part of your job. Ashley, meanwhile, is buying a wreath. He's buying drinks for the team, and they both learn that, whoopsie-doo, we swapped debit cards when we were back at the airport shop a little bit earlier on. Jennifer, if you are an athlete of any caliber, do you go for like pretzels and beer before an athletic competition? what was going on.
Oh yeah, I've never been athletic one moment in my life, but I can imagine that would not settle well on the tum tum. And one of them had pizza. I mean, it was very greasy, heavy, like post, or maybe if you're carving up for a marathon, maybe you do that, like pre-marathon, post victory, but not before the hockey game, like an hour before. Ugh.
Certainly not. Anyway, we are at said hockey game. It's really cute because Grandma, she's pretty salty about hockey. She is knitting and she calls out the ref for not calling high sticking. I liked her.
Yeah, she's sassy.
Spots Scott and decides to interrupt him while he's playing hockey to make him aware that he has her debit card, as one would do. Anyway, Scott, trying to pay attention to her instead of paying attention to the game, subsequently and immediately gets walloped by a player from the other team, like taken out. It was pretty funny, I thought.
It was weird. She was so excited or shocked that she saw him on the ice. She knew he was, like, they'd talked. She knew he was on the team. The team wasn't that big. You're in the venue. Like, could you not have waited till after to chat with him? You had to interrupt the game right then and there to be like, you have my debit card.
Yeah, it was a little much. Anyway, they meet after the game because apparently you can just walk back to the locker room in this small town. And they decide to go for a walk to get their cards at their respective locations, and they wind up gabbing up a little bit about hockey. Turns out she actually knows her stuff about the game and gives him a hard time about his debut with the Trouts. Afterward, they unpack a little bit of their personal drama, her relationship with her ex, his relationship with hockey, and they decide to hop in a cab, only to learn, whoa, he is staying in the guest cottage at her folks' house, of course.
It's like the stars have aligned.
The stars or this script has aligned. One or the other. Yes. To one of these community events, and it's a cider social. And Scott is a fish, or I guess you could say a trout, out of water. Still, he buckles down and he sweetly pours cider. Ashley immediately seems to swoon and, for reasons unknown, keeps on lying to her family about her relationship status with Trevor. I gotta know, Jennifer, were you here for the cider social?
I think we all know. Without asking, I was here for the cider social. I love cider. I love being social. Put them together. I'm here for it. It did kind of give more of like a, like Daughters of the American Revolution Tea Party vibe rather than what I would have pictured a cider social to be. What did you think?
I thought the same. It was a lot of pretty party dresses. It seemed very women and female centric with these hockey players in their duds. You know, it certainly gave me that kind of Christmas vibe. It was more fall to me, but you know, I was here for it.
You can drink cider at Christmas.
I didn't say you couldn't. But apple cider to me is more of a fall beverage than a Christmas beverage.
Agreed. Okay, fine.
There you go. Ashley goes with her friend, who turns out is also a real estate agent, on a showing the next day and helps sell the clients on the possibility of ripping out a wall, which is exactly the kind of project you want to do at the holidays. A little bit later, we're at hockey practice and Pierre is being a total jerk. Scott, turns out, actually decides to help a teammate, and the teammate scores a goal during practice. Pierre notices and is suddenly mildly impressed, so the ice seems to thaw just a little bit between the two of them. Scott wants to practice a little bit more, but he's forced to go to the public ice rink because they've got to close down the big rink, and it turns out he gets drafted to play with some of the youths. A youth hockey montage follows, which is not something I've ever seen in one of these before. And Scott
That's a new one.
Yeah, Scott totally dunks on the other team altogether. Of course, he's like a semi-professional player, and they're all of 12 years old, so you knew where this was going to go. And he actually helps his team win. Now, his team includes Ashley's nephew, Parker. And Ashley wanders by while they're playing hockey, and she hops on the ice after the game, and they continue to gab. They unpack their family drama. Turns out Scott's dad, again, he chose the NHL over his commitments to the family. Turns out she chose New York City over Idaho Falls, so they both have a little bit of, they don't feel great about their life choices sort of thing happening here. More hockey happens. We get a lot of hockey in this one.
Yes.
And afterwards, there are rumors that Boise needs a new right wing. And what do you know? Scott plays right wing. Is he going to get to go to Boise? He is so all about trying to get to Boise. That's what it's all about. Have you ever heard of someone so excited to get to Boise, Jennifer?
No. And I've never been to Idaho. Shout out to our Idaho listeners. But they made it clear that you got to go to Idaho Falls, then Boise, then the NHL. There's a track, and he's trying to get on it. And I didn't know how much and how quickly players are shifted around and traded in the world of hockey. Is that any way realistic, I wonder?
I think it is. I think if someone gets hurt, they get called up and that kind of thing because the game goes on. And so we get this moment where, is he going to get to go to Boise? No, he doesn't get to go to Boise. A younger player gets to go to Boise. And instead, Scott gets drafted to coach a Pee-wee hockey game the very next day.
He had to fill in for Zettner, who was going to previously coach the game. Zettner got his spot. Stupid Zettner.
And boy,
can't stand that guy.
Zettner is a hockey name if I've ever heard it.
I know, right?
Ashley finally decides to tell her folks that Trevor went kaput. The family's super supportive about it. She sees Scott coaching at the Pee-wee game and gives him a pep talk about being the coach he wishes he always had as a kid. So it's kind of a sweet moment before the two of them. We get another youth hockey montage here. Parker scores the big goal. Ashley, after the big game, invites Scott over to dinner and warns him very carefully and very intentionally about Grandma's eggnog. So I'll be fine. And it's definitely foreshadowing that he will not, dear friends, be fine on the back end.
She called it witch's brew.
She did.
Which is hilarious.
And truthfully, to a certain extent, eggnog is a little bit like witch's brew. It's kind of just like a throw it into a big pot and let it rot, as my grandmother used to say.
Cool. Disgusting. It was gross when you mentioned that line last year. It's gross again. I'm sorry. In season 2.
Sorry.
Should we make a piece of merch, like a sticker that says that you can put on a pot for your eggnog needs?
I'm here for it. Anyway, Scott manages to choke down some of Grandma's eggnog. It is a funny scene because it apparently is not as good as my grandmother's eggnog. His prize for doing so is a homemade scarf, so he is certainly one of the family now. He also gets a piece of pumpkin pie thanks to Ashley, and later an assignment to decorate the tree outside with Ashley. So this gives them some time together where they flirt, chat, and make some googly eyes at each other, so it's clear they're falling in love. Ashley, meantime, finds out that the top real estate agent in Idaho Falls is retiring, so there might be an opportunity for her to come home to Idaho Falls and kill it in the real estate game.
Because they only have 2 realtors for commercial real estate in the entire town.
Apparently so. And
there's only 2 spots.
Her friend's like, girl, come home. We'll totally kill it together. We'll be a team. It'll be awesome.
Or she'll steal all your commissions. I mean, how good of a friend are we with Becca? Because I don't know. Becca might be going down.
Seems like Becca wants to hop on somebody's coattails and just kind of ride.
That's true. It's very Selling Sunset. Mm-hmm.
Very. Scott's coach gives him a copy of a book that looks like the Bible, and it turns out it is the Bible, the coaching Bible. And it casts a vision for Scott's future with the team, with the Trout in Idaho Falls. Scott is all like, nah, I want to play, not coach.
I'm going to Boise. It's Boise or bust, bud. Sorry.
Boise or bust. That's the line of the day. Boise or bust, friends. We're at the Christmas Jamboree, which is sort of like the big climactic moment here in this movie. And everybody plays a hearty game of something called Merry FISHMAS. So the teams have these fishing lines, and they've got to put them in this tank that's full of ornaments, and they've got to try to hook the trout and get them out. It looks kind of like a fun game. I'd play it.
Listen, I'm trying to already figure out how I can incorporate Merry FISHMAS into any activity this season. Like, is it too soon to do it for like a pumpkin carving event? Maybe. Or do fish occur at pumpkin time? They're not really Christmas. Yeah, I want it. I want it involved, and I would be great at it, theoretically.
Yeah. Scott's team is great at it. They win, and Ashley is super impressed because this is exactly the kind of thing that impresses a woman in Idaho Falls.
I think she was more into the fact, hey, he's working with my family and my team. They're taking out the snotty brother-in-law, who's his name's Dave, who is a complete buffoon, right? I mean, they make Dave such a yokel this whole time. He's like not interested. At the games, he has to sit far away because out of the ref's view because he got into it with the ref. And at one point in the hockey game, they said, forget Dave. Yeah, and I wrote, they have. Like, basically, they forgot Dave existed as a character, then they sprinkle him back in. But Dave's crown moment was this Mary FISHMAS competition, and he lost. So yeah. I thought that was pretty funny.
I did too, yeah.
Yeah.
Ashley soon gets a call from New York City from a potential client, and a potential big deal is on the table, and she's immediately conflicted. She needs to be back in the Big Apple by the 23rd, and I write in my notes, #oopsie doodle. I saw it coming.
Yeah, there it is.
There it is. Scott skips practice to build a snowman, and I thought, okay, I guess you're going to just skip work and build a snowman? Kind of here for it. Maybe someday I can do that. Yeah. He finally shows up to practice and gets the good news. Jennifer, it's Boise. It's Boise.
Or is it Boise o'clock?
It's Boise o'clock, and Boise's on the line and says, boy, get up to Boise. And
we want you.
Scott is quite literally the most excited person in the history of humanity to find out they're going to Boise, Idaho.
Mm-hmm.
Yikes. Ashley is despondent to find out he's going to Boise. And it's at this point, Jennifer, that I Google the distance between Boise and Idaho Falls, and it's 4 hours. So, I mean, it's not like we're going on the other side of the globe here, but you would think that it's...
You know, in Hallmark world, if it's not the same small town, they can't do it. They can't make it work.
No such
They won't even entertain. In the world of social media and nonstop communication, can't do it. No.
Can't do it. It's going to fall apart.
I didn't know. So Idaho Falls is a real place?
Yeah, it is.
Oh,
absolutely.
Well, good for them. Shout out Idaho Falls.
There you are. So Ashley decides to give Scott a picture of all of them together. And I've got to wonder at this point, did she like tootle off to CVS and print off a picture off her cell phone and throw it in a frame? Like, how did she pull together?
Yeah. Walgreens has that 1 hour photo stuff situation, and like not that many people print. So when I have had to have photos printed, they can crank them out pretty quick.
There you go.
Don't sleep on a Walgreens or a CVS.
There you go. Not sponsored by CVS and Walgreens. Anyway, Scott gives Ashley a plastic trout ornament. Really cute. Really cute. They're both super sad. She's at the airport scouring magazines on her way back to New York City and looking sad. She whips around and she sees Scott there. He sort of creepily sneaks up, and it's very much like a whisper of a ghost kind of thing. Yeah. He realized he doesn't want to be his dad. He doesn't want to just continue fighting for the NHL and all of this other business. And he accepted the coaching gig with the Trout. He's going to stay and put down roots in Idaho Falls. They smooch, they hop in the cab. They both say at the same time where they're going, and it is her folks' house where he has been staying, presumably to celebrate and have the happiest Christmas ever, because we get no sort of epilogue. This movie drops off and it's over.
Okay, well, it's time for our Gold or Coal segment. If you're new to the pod, here's what we do. We each give 3 gifts, much like the 3 kings brought gifts to the baby Jesus. We are bringing you gifts to the pod. If there's more gold, it's a hat trick. If there's more coal, we're sending it to the penalty box. And if it's a tie, it's just a Merry Christmas, because we love a pun. Josh, coming to you first. What do you got?
All of the Christmas feels. It's gold for me out of the gate. I did think they did a great job of decorating all the scenery, giving us Christmas moments, giving us all of those sorts of things. Listen, this was Countdown to Christmas, the big debut, and I think they needed one like this that was so full of Christmas glee that it really set the tone, and I thought it did a good job in that aspect.
Agreed. To kind of piggyback off that, I wrote the traditions, but also this movie just felt good. Like, aesthetically, it felt warm and fuzzy. I was afraid going into it that it would be really a movie that was supposed to air in January, February, and winter, and they just plop it in around some trees and call it Christmas. But to have the whole Christmas tradition subplot going on, it made me really excited. It got me in my warm and fuzzies. So I will give it gold for that.
Agreed. I will also give some gold. I loved the ugly Christmas scarves that showed up throughout this entire thing. It was a quick note that they gave you at the very beginning that these are things that Grandma made. And sure enough, throughout this entire movie, everyone in the family kept wearing these ugly Christmas scarves. And I thought that that was just a really sweet thing to do. Of course, they were wearing all of their typical LL Bean kind of stuff, but it was this ugly Christmas scarf that just carried throughout the whole thing. And it actually made me smile in some of these scenes, just how ugly these scarves were. I thought it was really cute.
Yeah, but you met Grandma. Don't go against her. If she made that for you, you will wear it.
You will.
And you will enjoy it. And you will be grateful.
Sure.
Or she'll send you to the penalty box. I got to give some coal. I don't know why to find love and to enjoy Christmas, we have to omit our dreams and our careers. Like, that's fine. I know every now and then people can change their mind and switch gears. Got it. But it's like we kind of already alluded to. These people feel like they have to do that to be together. You don't. You can still play hockey if you want. You can still do commercial real estate, as I clink my watch on the table, and you probably heard that. You can still do these things and be together. So that's fine if there is this pull and they're like, you know what, I just don't want to do that anymore. That's not who I am. It's usually not that. It's more of a logistic thing. And they're like, no, I need to be here in this small town. I have trouble with that. So I'm giving it coal.
Good point. My last gift is going to be a little bit of coal here. This relationship between the two leads did not feel well developed enough for me. At the end of the day, they were together for a week. 1 week. And to go from we swapped debit cards to now I'm completely uprooting my NHL dream to coach this tiny little team, it just felt a little not so believable. And I get it. It's Hallmark. It's a 2-hour TV movie. But I kind of want to feel like this is actually something that could happen to people who might live down the street from me. And I really didn't get that warm and fuzzy of a feel from the relationship here.
Yeah, and I loved the leads. So Kim Matula was the female lead, and she was in Ghost of Christmas Always last year. Highly recommend if you haven't watched it. She was fantastic in that. I thought she was great in this. I thought Kevin McCreary was great in this as well. He has that little smirk. Like, he has like a suave, I can't do it. I just look like I'm trying to impersonate Elvis on the YouTube video, but he has a great smirk. So I like them, but I agree. I didn't buy the chemistry. I got like friend vibes, like banter friend vibes, pre-relationship vibes, not let me drop everything and move to your small town that you aren't even in. Let's both move back to your home small town vibes. My last piece. What did you do? You did 2 golds and a coal.
Mm-hmm.
I've done a gold and a coal. Yeah, I'm going to give it coal. I think it's going to be a little forgettable for me. I liked it in the moment. It was like junk food. I enjoyed it in the moment, but since I watched it, I haven't really thought about it again except for this podcast. So I don't know that it's one that I'm going to seek out every year. I wasn't offended by it. I thought it was really cute. I thought it was a strong start, but it's not going to be an all-timer for me. And I'm telling you, this year, we just got to up the stakes. They have to be incredible.
I agree. So
It's
bottom
not.
line here,
So
3 gold, 3 coal. We're just going to call it meh. Final thoughts for you, Jennifer.
I think we covered everything that was on my list. They did have a wet triple smooch at the end of before the abrupt ending. I called it scattered, smothered, and covered. But it did. I agree with everything you said. It didn't really seem like it was earned. I liked that the team kind of rallied around him and they started to work together throughout. It kind of gave me a little bit of Ted Lasso vibes from that aspect. Anything else? I think that's all I had to say. What about you? Any other outstanding notes?
I kind of think, it was what it was. It was a nice, not offensive, easy breezy kind of start to count down for Christmas. I'm with you. Will I watch it again? Probably not. I think there's a lot of better options out there. But, for what it was, good start. Okay. Just kind of meh.
It's a good on-ramp. It's a good on-ramp for the season. We're on Santa's sleigh. We're on the sleigh. We're taking off to Idaho Falls. Yeah. So we'll see where everything takes us next.
Hopefully to Boise.
One can only hope. I hear I wonder if their airport is better or worse than the Idaho Falls airport. And that, friends, is another episode of Do You Watch What I Watch?
Special thanks to Nick Shores for our theme song, our incredible theme song, and of course to all of you for listening and watching.
And as we mentioned earlier, if you like our podcast, please tell a friend, review it, subscribe, spread the word. We're on Facebook, we're on Instagram, we're kind of on Twitter. I mean, we're technically on Twitter. I just don't really get on there that much, but we're there if you need us. Anywhere, everywhere, go to doyouwatchwhatiwatch.com. Next time, we're gabbing about Hallmark's new movie, Where Are You, Christmas? And here's the plot summary. Addie wishes for a year without Christmas, and she wakes up in a world of black and white. She must work together with the town mechanic to restore Christmas. We will have much to discuss. Oh, much to discuss. But until then,
may your days be merry and bright. We'll see you soon.